Hi, hi. Oh,
Hello.
hello. Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. How you guys
It
doing?
is Don't Worry Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm worried, man. It's Wednesday and I'm worried about it.
What are you worried about, man? It's Don't Worry Wednesday.
It's, just because.
I don't like that. It's not a good
Because I'm
answer.
a rebel.
What are you, a
I'm
parent?
rebellious today. You're
It's
not
gonna.
supposed to worry on Wednesday, and I'm doing it
Mm-hmm. And your reason is because?
just for the sake of rebellion.
Wow. Okay. Well, first you sounded like a grown-up a parent that doesn't want to explain it to their kids, and now you sound like a 13-year-old who rebels against their parents. What's going on, man? What's going on in that brain of yours?
Hmm. I can go the whole range of
You
ages
certainly
and
can. It's nice to be 29, isn't
personas.
it?
It is, man. It is.
You've been 29 your whole life, and it's really
But
paying off. You've got the whole spectrum in you.
the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, man.
Yes.
Welcome
Yes,
everybody
yes.
to Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we talk about the problems and difficulties of life, and basically whatever's on your mind.
Hmm.
You can submit a topic to us if you go to don'tworrywednesday.com, and we would love to handle it. We aren't professional psychologists or psychiatrists, but we can do our best to give you our best to help you along your journey in life. Um, I'll say that even though
You'll
we're
say
not
that?
necessarily here to, huh? I will say that.
I'm sorry.
I will. I
I
will say that.
said, you'll
Thanks,
say
Joe.
that?
I will.
You sure? You
Uh
sure you're
huh.
gonna say
I'm
that?
gonna say it. Wow. Okay. Anyways, in life, it can be a struggle, and we aren't professional psychologists, so we're not here to tell you what to do. But we can,
But we might.
yeah, but we might tell you what to do. That's true. We might, but don't sue us if we're wrong. But anyhow, if we're right, do sue us. No, that doesn't make any sense. Um, anyhow, anyhow, I was going to say, um, it's nice to open up topics and just whenever you're going through something, even if the other person on the other side of the conversation doesn't know all the answers or can't necessarily help you. I find it incredibly helpful to just open up the topic, to just talk about it and to discuss it and put it out in the open for other people's perspectives on it. And that really helps solidify the different thoughts going on in your brain and helps you through problems. And I find that's true for me, especially. And I'm sure it's true for you guys. I mean, a lot of you guys show up every week, so I have to imagine that you're getting something out of this. And so I think that's a really big and helpful thing is just opening up the topic to the world and seeing what people have to say about it. And you guys in the chat are awesome as well, and we'd love when you guys comment and try to help each other out in the chat as well. So thank you so much.
Hmm.
Awesome.
I know
Ah,
why lots of people come to see Static P in action.
well,
Hmm.
what is action? Is this action? Am I taking
This
action?
is the action, man.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, well, cool.
You're an action hero.
On stretch. That's a stretch. I mean, the name Static P maybe sounds like an action hero. There was a cartoon about some character with the name of Static. Static Shock. Static. Someone knows in the chat. Anyways, that's not me.
you're
I'm not an action hero, man.
you're somebody different.
That's right. So
Somebody even better.
that's I hope so, but maybe not. I mean, I hope I'm better than a fictional character at least. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah. But maybe I'm not. We'll find out.
I mean, you are kind of like the man, the myth, the legend, right? So there is a little bit. I'm sure there's like fan
Oh,
fiction
there's
out
definitely
there of
myth.
you.
Yeah, there's
Hmm.
probably myth. I hope there's not really. I don't think there's fan fiction about Steady P. That doesn't make sense to me. There's definitely fan fiction about my content that I've written, like the Criminal Idol series has fan fiction, but I don't think there are fan fictions about Static P. I've never looked it up.
Well, there should
I
be.
encourage no one to do so. So
uh,
let's move on.
Hutsu, I gotta tell you, I'm excited to send you your plushie. And I'm really excited to get finished with the arm wrestling match that I'm having with our shipping partner.
Yeah, go on.
It's been an ongoing struggle, and
Yeah, we've been
I
trying to
won't go
send
into a
you
lot of
your.
details,
Yeah,
but
we've been trying to send you your plushie for like how
hmm
long? Months?
yeah, and we're even paying for all the shipping. Like the shipping was included
Yeah, we've
on all
got.
that,
We gave them like
So
what?
like,
There's like $65 in there to say, hey, ship this, and they're just like, hey, by the way, you got $65 in here to ship stuff. And we're like, yes, ship it. They're like, hey, by the way, you got that money in there. We're like, yeah. Can you ship it?
yes, why can't I complete the order if there's money in there to cover it? Like,
Yeah.
what's the holdup? Like,
Thing.
it's hilarious to me. And but they keep on just reminding me that there's a balance in there, and I'm like, yes, please use some of it so and process my order because I want to ship this,
Mm.
right? And we're kind of getting backed up. We've got more orders from the website and everything. So yeah,
Thanks, Win.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, and we're super sorry, Hatsu, for that. um, yeah. Anyways, beyond the fan fiction stuff, guys, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. We're gonna jump into this. But first, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing in the chat? How are you doing, Joe?
I'm fantastic. Ah,
You look fantastic.
my smile is really nice.
It
Ah,
is. You've got a beautiful
thank
smile.
you. I appreciate it. Yes, Marhanda, you see the background. We were talking the other day, and I used to have the bookshelf back behind me, Remember the bookshelf?
I remember.
Yep. Marhandi was talking about the bookshelf, and I'm like, man, I haven't used the bookshelf in a while. I got a mushroom forest now.
Yeah, you haven't had. Wow, it's been like months, like a year or something. I feel like.
Been
You've
a
had
while
that.
since I've used the
Yeah,
bookshelf.
you've been in. You feeling okay? It's a lot of mushrooms.
I love my mushroom forest.
All right, good. Me too. I
I
like
will
your
never
mushrooms.
eat them. They are safe because
Oh,
I'll
okay.
never eat them.
That's right, because Joe doesn't like mushrooms on his
I
food.
do not. No, they're
He likes
disgusting.
mushrooms in his eyes, but he doesn't like them in his food.
I like glowing, colorful mushrooms all around me
Mm-hmm.
in my forest,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I'm
yeah, I
sorry,
will not eat
Win.
them.
I'm sorry you're not doing well. I hope things go better. Hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and beautiful eyes. Joe, you have beautiful eyes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't say it.
You're
Joe Hatsu said it, but yeah, I agree with him.
you're so kind to say such things.
I remember long weekends where I would just stare into the eyes, the vast ocean of wonder that it is in Joe's eye sockets. Um, I remember long
Oh, I'm
trips
gonna keep my
across.
eyes closed then.
Oh gosh. Anyways, what do you say we jump into a topic?
We could. I don't know if we can though,
Oh, why
because
not?
we've got topics, but everybody wants to be here, and I haven't seen anybody in the chat that has a topic.
Guys, you're slacking. Anyone want us to talk about their thing that they've got going on that's not happy? Please. We would love it if you'd submit a topic to don'tworrywednesday.com. I'll type that in. HTTPS colon
I thought you were gonna say HE double hockey sticks.
Wednesday.com. No, Joe, I wouldn't say that.
I know.
I
you
typed that
wouldn't.
out. You can double check to see if that link works.
Oh, let me check.
Okay.
Hey, it works, man.
Dang,
Yeah,
first
and
try,
there's a
first
submit a
try.
topic button right there. You can click the submit a topic button.
Yeah, you
and
can.
that.
Okay, mine's the one about crushes. Oh, Hatsu,
Wait,
you've got one?
is there one in here?
Oh my gosh,
So
Joe.
oh, it was just put in here. Yes.
I was trusting you. Okay.
All right, we got one about crushes. Let me you know what? I can process this if you want to talk.
Okay. Fantastic.
Give me just a second.
Okay, sure. Yeah. How about we talk about your things too? Your things too sometime. We did last time. We talked about actually we had, I think from Ash, we had a topic asking us about where we were in our projects, asking about our life stories, and we didn't go too far into that. asking about how our business came to be and what the story was for that. And yeah, we definitely talked about ourselves last time. And you know what's funny, Marhandi? I would say that we talk about ourselves a lot on this show because when we're sharing topics, right? When we're talking about your guys' topic, all we have is our own perspective. And all we can do is give you experiences of our own. So I feel like we talk about ourselves more than we talk about anything. But only out of consequence of the fact that we've lived our own lives and that's what we're drawing from to help. So yeah, I would say we do talk about ourselves quite a bit. Yeah. Awesome. Welcome, guys. Nice to see you. You guys are amazing. Oh, geez. Baka, 3 tests tomorrow?
Oh, Baka's here?
Yeah, Baka's here. Wait, Baka, Baka, what are you doing
got
here?
a topic.
We've got a topic for you. Baka.
We do, actually.
Yeah. Baka, is that alright if we do your topic?
We totally can do that. That'd give me time to process this.
Awesome. Well, let's do it. Then again, well, you'd be the first one to speak on it, but that's totally fine. Baka? You alright there? It's, the title that it was given was Habit of Just Enough. Yeah, it's only a few months old. Yeah, it's, it was in December, 28th. It was the end of December. So, I mean, hey, this is probably a helpful topic for more than just you. So even if it's not necessarily relevant to you anymore, it'd be nice to get this off the list and to help whomever we can with it. So, would it be all right if we did it? I hope so. All right, thanks, Hatsu.
I hope so too. Yes, thank you. Yours will likely be next in line if you're still here when we get done with this. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yes, Senna, there is.
Oh yeah, awesome. Thanks, Baka. We'll do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let me get the topic rolling over here. And let me open it up over here. And go ahead and switch to the topic screen. This topic, as you all already know, is from Baka. We've titled it Habit of Just Enough. And you can read along if you would like. It reads as follows. Struggling to put my best foot forward. I just completed my first semester of college. I learned a lot of what I was supposed to. I learned a lot of what I was supposed to, yet it seems so hard for me not to put in all my effort. And my grades showed it. I want to break this habit of doing just enough to be done. I want to see A's and B's, though I always choose the easiest way out and see nothing wrong with it. From Baka. Yeah, that's for sure, that's a interesting one. Definitely, so you basically look at what you need to do to get by, and you do the bare minimum doing just that. Look at that cup. Beautiful.
Well, Senna just said to stay hydrated, so I figured I'd take a drink of my mug water.
Good. Mug water.
This is my hot mug water.
Where's your cold mug water?
This is my cold mug water.
This is my coffee mug water. It's coffee grounds infused into water, mug water. But yeah. So Baka, I don't know. Are you still experiencing that? Just out of curiosity. Not that it's necessary. Obviously we're going to talk about it regardless, but just wondering if you're still going through that. Because I totally know what you're talking about and have experienced that before, of doing honestly like just the bare minimum to get through rather than on giving an honest effort and being able to show the result of that. Um, I think it's I think it says a lot about your character that you want to do better. Even if like it shows a lot about your character that you want to do better. Not that obviously that you have some character shown in the fact that you didn't do all you could. But the fact that you want to do better is really awesome, because I've definitely worked with people that do the bare minimum just to get by at work, and they see absolutely nothing wrong with it, and they're happy to be that way. And that's sort of okay until you cross the threshold of like basically sleeping on the job, getting paid to do nothing because you just figured out that if you do X, Y, and Z, you can slack off on everything else, and you really hurt the rest of your team, because then everybody else has to make up for you, at least in the work environment, right? And it creates a toxic environment, not just for the people around you, but also your own attitude. I've seen generally those same people, when they're working, their attitude towards work is not so healthy, and because their attitude towards work is not healthy, their attitude towards the people they're working with is not so healthy. And so I've definitely encountered quite a bit of that, and so it pleases me that even though this might be the case for you, for sort of not giving your all, it pleases me to hear that you recognize it and you want to do better, because that's the difference. That's the difference maker, because that gives you the opportunity to not be toxic in your workplace, or to basically be unable to improve and to see nothing wrong with it, right? So, yeah, this is a great topic, and I'm looking forward to talking more about it. But I'm gonna give it over to Joe first off, and see what he's got to add, or what he's got to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Baka, for this topic. This is really great. I've actually had some breakthroughs that affected this area of my life recently. And I'll mention a little bit of that probably in the course of what I have to say. But one of the things, I've definitely lived on both ends of the spectrum, where I'm in high performance mode and I'm just cranking and I'm doing a lot of stuff and I'm having fun, working hard, because, it's a lot more fun when you try hard at anything. It is like when you put your whole self into it and put your whole self behind it, and you just go, you awaken things within yourself that feel really good. And, like being in high performance mode is awesome. And, we're at BSS, we own a company, and when you're a business owner, you kind of can't afford to not be in high performance mode. You can, I suppose, and depending on the type of business you're in. The business I had before I was full time with BSS was I did property inspections, and I owned my own company doing property inspections, and so I didn't get paid per hour, and I didn't get paid a salary. I got paid per house that I inspected. So I had to, if I wanted to have a decent income, I had to work hard. Like I had to perform, or else, my pay would reflect my performance. And, that's just how that was. And I did that for a long time. How long was I an inspector for? 10 years almost?
I feel like it was a really long time. I don't know how many years though. I don't
Let's
think it was
see.
quite
I
10.
went full time in November of 21 with BSS, right?
Okay, yeah. Wait,
Yep.
November of 2021?
Yep, 21.
2021.
Because this 2021 November, I closed my inspections business and went to doing BSS full time. I started my inspections of business in September of 2012.
So a whole
when
year's
I was
passed
when
already
I was a
since
younger 29-year-old.
you've been working for BSS for a full year now.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't realize that.
And I
Wow,
know
time
and I know
flies.
what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking, Ryan.
No, you did great.
What we got to show for it, man? Like
Great
seriously.
stuff.
Like
It's good.
like we put you full time and like what do we I know. I asked myself the same question.
I don't ask that question. You know I don't ask that question.
I
You ask
know.
that
I ask
question.
it
I don't
enough.
ask that
I
question.
ask myself that question all the time. Like
Okay.
you know,
Anyways, back
but
on topic.
anyway,
Sorry.
yes. So whatever it is you're doing. Now I've had jobs where I've had coworkers tell me, "Stop working so hard. You're making us look bad." And a lot of times, this is a position where you're paid hourly or salary. And so people punch a clock and they show up and they spend time there. And you can choose, like, okay, do I want to do the least amount possible to get my paycheck or do I want to perform? And luckily, I haven't had very many jobs like that. Most of the jobs that I've had were they had some kind of an incentive to perform well. Like, you know, the job I had for a long time before I had my inspections business was I worked at a music store. When I was in sales there, we had commission. So the harder you worked serving customers, the bigger your commission check was going to be, right? It just was the way it was. And so it was like, go. And then I got into the repair side of things and they paid a salary, but it was based on they would review how much work you did over the past year and your salary would reflect the amount of work that you did. So there was still, you know, they would keep track of how much you did and then average that out and pay you accordingly, right? So, um, I don't know if the field you're in, Baca, is conducive to that. I think it's law enforcement that you're going into, if I'm correct. And a lot of times that'd probably be an hourly or salary position, but you still can be a good, high performing police officer, of which I've met many. I've met
Hmm.
many good police officers that
Oh
do
yeah.
their job well. They're respectful of the people around them. It's weird. A lot of times I've noticed it's almost like the more lazy a police officer is, the more mean they are.
Hmm.
There seems to be a correlation there, right? It's weird, and that's just because when we don't give our best, when we don't perform at a high level, when we don't try, we just kind of get, and it's I'm slacking and whatever, and just whatever, and we
And then
kind
you
of
get grumpy because
grumble.
someone else made you do something.
Yep. And then you tell the guy who is high performing, you're like, man, don't do that. You're making me look bad. And then I would respond, like, I'd be like, no, you're doing a good enough job yourself, making yourself look bad. Like, like get off your butt and do something, right? Like, sorry. But so here's the thing. Um, there are different ways you can motivate yourself. I have just recently discovered pretty much a bottomless well of performance energy. And that well is anger. Now, I'm not talking about aggression. I'm not talking about a violent response to anger. That would be aggression. Anger is simply the feeling that you get when you're angry. It's that heightened sense to take action, right? Like something happens, we get irritated by it, it makes us mad, and then all of a sudden we're kind of like, oh, we get this jolt of energy, we get this rush of adrenaline, we get this extra power to do stuff. And so what I learned how to do is very interesting. And I just had this breakthrough like a couple weeks ago, and I went through it with my therapist. My therapist was like, oh my gosh, if I had more clients who had this same breakthrough, like I wouldn't be in business as long.
Hmm.
you know but the thing is, when I've learned that I can make myself angry, or it's okay for me to have this little minor thing just tick me off and make me angry, because I can just take the energy from the anger and then I can direct it and focus on the work I need to do. And it's been working exceptionally well, because there'll be even times throughout the day when I'm like, we have things that we're trying to get done at BSS. We have a lot of stuff that we're doing, and we've got releases coming out. We just put 2 new musical artists on our roster this week, and we've got new releases coming out from them over the next 2 weeks. There's another release from my group, a single duel, coming out in 3 weeks. We've got more Static P stuff coming out the week after that. We've got, basically we have set up for like the next 9 weeks in a row. We have stuff planned to be released. And so there's a flurry of activity happening to make this possible, right? There's a lot of logistical stuff on the back end. There's finalizing all these productions, all these songs, and finishing the mixing on them, finishing the mastering on them, finding the artwork. I was just in a conversation with one of our new artists, Jono Taylor. I don't know if he's here. He's been here a bunch of times, but I was just talking with him about artwork. I'm like, hey, what are you thinking about artwork? Because, your song's coming out next Friday and we need to have that artwork. We need to submit everything. And so he's like, I don't know. And so like, we talked about it a little bit, and he found an artist and got some prices. And so it looks like we can probably move forward on getting this artwork done. So then we can have it all submitted and stuff. But there's all that stuff happening. There's legal stuff happening. It's crazy. You got to put out fires and all this kind of stuff, right? But there's not always an urgency to do something. Like I made myself have deadlines to make myself be more urgent about things. This is self-imposed abuse.
Self-abuse. Self-abuse. I'm feeling repressed.
But it was hilarious because I'll sit there and I'll be like, well, we're kind of all set on this stuff. We got time, I got a couple weeks before the single duel song comes out. So I've got some time to record a bass part. I've got some time to do the mixing. I've got some time to do this, and I can just relax and I can do whatever I want. And then I get a message from somebody, or I send a message to somebody and they don't message me back for a long time. Or, the sky looks funny. It's the wrong color of gray, because in Michigan, it's always gray, gray skies and cold in the winter, right? So, these little things might frustrate me. And what I do is I let that frustrate me. I let that make me angry, and I suck up the energy. And then I go, okay, now I'm mad. And I'm like, rather than retaliate at the sky that's the wrong color of gray, or retaliate at the person who didn't DM me back, or the person who did say something to me that really made me upset, rather than lashing back at those things, I take the energy in, and then I'm like, all right, I got this other stuff to do. I'm going to go do it. And so then I'll get to work, and I'll just be like, all right, sometimes it's not even, I'm going to do this whole thing. Sometimes I play this game in my head where I'm like, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to open my computer and I'm going to open that project and I'm going to look at it. That's step 1. Sometimes that's the only step I'm willing to make myself do. But almost inevitably, every time I open that up, I always start tinkering, and then I start playing around with it, and then I start working on it, and then I get into it. And before I know it, 6 hours goes by, and I've got a whole bunch of it done. And you could do the same thing, Baka. You could do the same thing when you're doing your homework, when you're studying for a test, when you're, trying to figure all this stuff out. You can say, all right, I'm not going to make myself study forever. I'm just going to make myself open my book and look at it. or open my course material or whatever, get on the website for the class, whatever it is, I'm just going to do that step. And what you'll find is that first step is your first bit of momentum to get you going in the right direction. Sometimes if you just break it down to that first step you have on an assignment or a project or whatever it is you're doing, once you take that first step, now you're moving forward. And I always give myself the freedom to quit. I give myself the freedom to stop at any point in time. But I find that when I don't beat myself for not doing something, and I instead just do that first step, I feel better about it. I'm like, okay, here I am now. I'll take the next step. And then I'll take the next step. And then I'll take the next step. And then before you know it, you've taken a whole bunch of steps. And for me, this is all fueled by this bottomless feeling of anger that I've learned and discovered that I have. Maybe I'm just an energetic person. I just have like a lot of energy, and things tick me off. And so that feeds the energy. I kind of like suck it in. I picture myself just like pulling all this energy in, and I can actually feel it in my arms and in my fingers and everything. I can just like feel this power. And I'm like, all right, I have this power. I can use it for whatever I want. I'm going to use it for what I need to do, for the project I need to work on, for the thing I need to focus on, for this. And then before you know it, I've worked the whole day and then some, and I'm not even tired. And I could keep going. And then sometimes, I get burned out a little bit at the end of the day, and I'm like, but then all it takes is one more thing to tick me off a little bit, and then whoop, now I'm back in motion. I got this power again. How am I going to direct it? And so then I point it in the direction of what I know is going to move things forward. And you could do the same thing with schoolwork. You could do the same thing on any job. And it can be tough because, like we talked about before, there might be a culture within the students that you're around or the job that you have. There might be a culture of being lazy. And that's hard to overcome sometimes, because then it's like, well, I'm not going to be accepted by these people if I'm not lazy like them, or if I'm not, if I don't, try and get the most pay for the least amount of work or whatever, like I'm not going to be as accepted in this peer group. But what you find is, even if you're accepted by all those peers, you still don't feel as good as when you're trying your hardest. I would invite you to give trying your hardest a shot and see what it feels like. Just do it for like a day. You'll have more energy. You'll feel better about it. You'll be more proud of yourself. And yeah, it'll be great. So I don't know. Hopefully some of that's helpful. I'm going to turn it back over to Ryan and see what he has to say, because Ryan has, over the years, shown that he can be extremely productive and
also extremely
producing
unproductive
material. We all go through phases, man.
Yeah, good.
It's okay. But that's why I'm in the job I am in now and finding this anger, because I'm just like, okay, now I'm going to keep on you, and I'm going to be like, dude, I need this stuff.
I better watch out.
I'm in charge of setting up all the releases for BSS, and so like when Ryan's not giving me stuff that needs to be released, I just need to message him a lot, and then he's going to get tired of messaging me back, and all that kind of stuff.
That's going to ruin our
And then I'm going to
friendship.
get mad, and then it's going to make me work on something else even harder.
There you go. Sounds good. Sounds healthy. That's our future relationship. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I'll give it my best shot. Baka, like you said, you are already getting better at this, and I don't know if you put it in the chat, but if you have found yourself getting better at this area, it would be great if you could share perhaps perhaps why, what you're doing, and I think that'd be really great. Oh, actually, I just found it. You said it's hard to say. Just some days I have to push myself to stay focused, spend more time and effort. Cool. Yep. Honestly, that's true. I mean, being able to push yourself is a skill in itself, right? Being able to be strict with yourself is an important skill set, and a very important one,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a police officer, but in any job. And I think what Joe was talking about is really important because Baka, I hope you don't mind me saying this. I remember you've given us a couple of topics over the years that we've known each other, and one of them was on anger. And I think Joe's topic might help you quite a bit, or Joe's solution to the topic might help you quite a bit, because I remember you having issues of anger popping up quite frequently. And recognizing that that could be considered a gift might allow you to use that to force yourself to, or to give you motivation to do more. And I think that that's helpful. You know, one of the reasons you might find yourself not giving your all is that you are possibly, now I'm not going to diagnose you with this. I have no right to, and I don't know you well enough, and I could be completely off here. So just keep that in mind. If you suppress your anger long enough, you're going to suppress your willingness to do things. And you're going to do the bare
You
minimum
end
to
up
get
depressed.
by. Yeah, you end up depressed, right? And so that might be a sign that you kind of just gotta accept your anger as a gift, like kind of like what Joe was saying. Recognize, sure, anger is a weird word because anger comes off as aggression when we talk about anger.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times when people say anger, they mean aggression, or rage, or even madness, which is a whole different thing too. Madness, but madness being when you lose your mind, your wits about you. But anger is just a state of being energized to take action, like Joe said, you know. And I think that being able to harness that and recognize anger is not an evil thing is a useful thing. I mean, I'd like to dig into that just a little bit more, just because it might help you, Baka. I don't know, maybe we're on the wrong track, but one thing that I noticed is, I hope you don't mind me going to reference the Bible for a second here. In the Bible, there's a story about Moses. Everybody knows Moses. Everybody knows Moses' story. Come on, it's Moses. He parted the Red Sea. He saved the Israelites out of Egypt. Began the Exodus, right? Moses, we all know Moses. A particular thing about him is that he was considered meek and humble, and he was considered the most meek of God's people in that time. But the thing is, we often don't understand what the word meek means. People think meek means weak. Completely opposite words, in fact.
Because they rhyme.
Because they rhyme,
Meek
but that doesn't
rhymes with weak.
Yeah. Sausage rhymes with hostage. Kind of. But they're two different things. Sorry, that was just I was like, I don't know why. Okay.
Hey.
If you say it weird,
interesting choice.
It rhymes, man.
Sausage and hostage.
Yeah, hostage. Breakfast rhymes with headrest. Oh wait. Headrest. Breakfast rhymes with headrest. Okay, anyways.
Oh my god.
I'm a lyricist. I know these things. But anyways, Moses was considered to be weak. Not weak, but meek. But what does meek mean? It means you have a lot of strength, but you have meeked it. You have put it in its place. You have the willpower to control and use it for good, right? You meek a horse. You can't meek a horse that's weak. You meek a horse that's strong by training it and teaching it how and when to use its power, when to use its strength. And so I would say to be meek might help you. And I think that's, where Joe is on his journey through all of this. Having anger, you meek it, you take control of it, and you allow it to be your power, as opposed to being a loose cannon and using your anger for whatever you feel like at that moment, which could be ill. So anyways, just a little bit more on that topic, as Joe so eloquently and wellfully covered. Also, Signe, signage, sign, signe. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. I just tried it 5 times, and I think I failed every time, and I also failed at math because it was 4. So, sorry about that.
Hey, I failed at math too. I failed math when I was in college.
Yeah, sign, Siegfried, sane. Okay, I'm sorry. But anyways, they had a really good comment early on in all of this, and that is they said that their friends
sane.
Okay, cool. So they said that a lot of their friends had that, or a couple of their friends had that issue, and it got solved when there was some level of rivalry, if there was some level of competition, right? And that is a fuel for some people. That stuff doesn't work on me, but it works for a lot of people. I would say an overall more general answer to that is, or a general way to pronounce, or wow, my brain today. A more general way of touching on that topic is to personalize it. Personalize it. Look at what personally compels you and utilize that. For example, for me, it would be make it a personal scenario between me and somebody else that wasn't necessarily a rivalry or a competition, but more so I'm being held accountable, or I have a person who I can help by doing this, and I know I'm helping a specific person because that's my personality, right? If I know that what I'm doing is helpful to somebody else other than just me, it will compel me to do a better job than if it's literally just me doing something for myself. And I think that's I think that's true for a lot of people, but I know for me that's especially true, so I can use that to my advantage. If I am experiencing, right, this minimalism type of idea of doing the least to get by, I should tell somebody. I should talk to somebody. I should recognize and find in my brain that recognize that, hey, if I try harder at this, I can help other people at this better. If I try harder at this, I can get maybe more money or whatever it is to help people around me. If I try harder at this, then whatever it is, but to make it a relational matter is compelling to me. A relational matter. Now, not everybody's a relation type person. Some people are task oriented people, and that sort of tactic might not work. So for that, I would say, I maybe making it a competition. Find some peers or some friends that are in the same class, or maybe they're not friends. But if you make it a competition, a friendly competition, not a bad like enemy competition, but like a friendly competition between friends of trying to like outdo each other, that's some good camaraderie. I mean, I know a lot of people in this world who have excelled to high positions. I know multi-millionaires who used that tactic to get there. It is a good tactic. Joe also knows those millionaires who have excelled because they made it a friendly competition to do really well in a business, and it forced them to try hard and hard and hard and do things they would never normally ever do. And it compelled them to a position of high leadership, and they learned so much in that process that they would never redo it again, right? It's incredible. So um never undo it, never redo it in a different way, basically, was what I meant to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they would do it again, basically, is what I meant to say. um and so I think that's a really good tactic. And if that hits home with you, that hits home with your personality of making it a competition, then by all means do that. If it needs to be something where you're not in the dark, sometimes in life we in the dark we slack, but if we're out in broad daylight, under the eyes of our peers or people that we know are looking, at least, or people that we know we want to what's the word, uh impress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, and that's what compels you. Use that. Use that to compel you to do better. It's totally
Mm-hmm.
okay. That's using a strength of yours in an area that's a weakness. And you're making that weakness stronger by applying your strength to it. We all have these. We all have these strengths, things that compel us to do better. But we have to learn how to apply them in different areas of our life so that we can do those things better. Um, so yeah, don't shy away from that. Whatever it is for you, don't be afraid to, maybe it's just telling someone and them and asking them to keep you on track, asking them to keep yourself accountable. It could be any number of things, but figure out what that thing is, and if you can do that, you're gonna find yourself excelling in that area. I would say that there's a lot of talk to say about maybe self-control, but I don't think I need to necessarily go there, because it already seems that currently you've been solving your problem through pure self-control, basically telling yourself, no, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this, and doing it. And that's awesome. That's training a skill within you that is one of the most important skills in life. Self-control. To be able to master yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't master yourself, you can't be free, because you're going to be slave to something else. You have to be your own master, right? In order to be free, a free human being, you can't be a slave. And if you don't have self-control, if you're a slave to your own emotions, if you're a slave to, entertainment, if you're a slave to whatever, right? That's because you have lack of self-control in that area. So, like I said, I don't need to touch on it much, but you're training a skill that leads to your personal freedom and your personal ability to do great things without just losing because you decided to, I don't know, not have self-control. Well, not that you decided, but you sort of just didn't have the trained talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, geez, self-control is so much in life. And so I love that the way you're attacking this problem so far is just conquering yourself, telling yourself you're going to do something and doing it. And I think that's awesome. And I want to give you props for that. So way to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So that's all I've got. Joe, did you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do. I hate the word self-control.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry about that. I used it a lot.
I mean, you used it in a good context. Most of the time, what I would hear, like, especially, it was kind of tough, and, I talked a little bit about figuring this thing about being angry, and it's been that way my whole life. Ever since I was a young 29-year-old, like, even when I was a little kid, 29-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was, I had parents, teachers, counselors, therapists, everybody telling me how to not be angry. Don't be angry. Don't sweat the small stuff. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't have that. You shouldn't blah 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 blah, And it's all just like but I never so what happened then was I got a label attached to myself that the way I was built, the way I felt was wrong. And so, like, the way I am is wrong. And so that leads to arguments with God about why did you make me wrong, apparently? And, all kinds of stuff, right? But they would use the word self control But what they were talking about was self-suppression.
Yeah, I was about to say self-suppression. Yeah.
What Ryan's talking about when he says self-control is self-mastery. And I think you said that term as well,
Yes.
right? It's not necessarily suppressing all the stuff. It's not, it's not like self-control isn't, hey, I have this thing, this way about me, and I need to not have that. It's not necessarily that. What it is you have that part of you, you figure out how to master it. You figure out, you learn, you try, you try different things, you figure out, how can I make use of it? How can I master it? Like Ryan was talking about meeking a horse. I love that because it's like, you take all this raw power and you direct it.
Right.
You don't suppress it. You don't tell the horse they're wrong for having lots of energy. You help the horse direct their energy to productive means, right? And that's self-mastery, that's self-control. That's real self-control. We're not talking about suppressing who you are. We're not talking about any of that. It's just when you start to learn how to master yourself and take all these components that make up who you are, and you're like, okay, this is how I am. I can learn how to use that productively. How can I use it to drive myself? One of the things Ryan was talking about, these successful business owners that we had known that used competition. And I wasn't into that either. I was just like, whatever. Like competition, I would try and be part of the group and be like, okay, yeah, man, cool. Let's go beat them. But in deep down, I'm just like, I don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And one of the other things they would say to motivate you is to think about your dreams and your goals. So you think about what type of lifestyle you want. You think about, you, in your case, finishing school and having the career you want. You think about that end result, and that can motivate you. That also didn't really do the trick for me. Some people, it works. It helps people push through fear. It helps people work hard. It helps them do all this kind of stuff, right?
It can get you excited. Well, it depends on your personality, but for me, like, it could get me excited, but it doesn't get me moving.
Right.
Different.
Yes, exactly. And I would watch a lot of people do that. They could talk all kinds of dreams, and they could be like, oh, I want to have a house on the moon, and I want to blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, cool.
That's great.
Like, I want to water ski from an airplane and stuff. Like, people have all these crazy dreams, and they would get all fantastical about their dreams, but then they wouldn't move, right? And I was in the same boat. Like, I could talk about all kinds of stuff I was dreaming of and all kinds of, goals that I wanted, all kinds of things I wanted to accomplish, but it wouldn't make me move. And if I had known what I know now about anger and that power, because that's just how I'm built. That's what works for me. I have to find something that makes me angry, suck up the energy, and then just like spew it out all over the place in front of me, like directed at the very thing that I need to do.
Laser beam.
Lasers.
Laser.
Sharks, laser beams attached to their heads.
That's great. In a tornado.
Shark. Yes, a sharknado.
A sharknado.
With lasers. But anyway, Baka, hopefully that's helpful. That's pretty much all I had to say. So.
That's perfect. And I really like that. Thanks for adding that. Yeah, so I guess that's all we have for this topic. I hope that was really helpful, not just to Baka, but to everyone. And, we covered a wide area of different specific topics, but I think they all relate, So thank you so much. Thank you, Baka, for having letting us read this and cover this, and we appreciate it. And it's something that I think we all need to be reminded of, for sure, because it's hard to give our all. It takes everything. It takes all of you to give your all, right? And that's not easy to do. So we all need to do a little bit better than that. And these are some hopefully helpful ways that we can encourage ourselves to do better in it. I know I, for one, could be doing better, right? So, moving on.
All of us could.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Baka. We have, I believe. So we've got Hatsu here, and we also have an anonymous one. I think we are allowed to do the anonymous one, but you can tell me.
Mhm.
We are?
I think so. I think I got a message saying that they are here.
Okay. Awesome. Well, Hatsu.
And we also have one
Okay.
from Kat that came in earlier too.
Okay.
And I noticed Kat just showed up.
Yeah, 5 hours ago. Okay. Cool. All right. We've got a couple lists on the list, guys. Thank you so much for submitting some topics for us to do. How about we start with the anonymous one? Since we know that that person's here. I don't know the person. I have no idea who the anonymous is, but if we know that they're here, that's helpful. And then we'll move on from there. So, thank you so much. I'm gonna start getting the topic on the board here.
Yeah, you get that topic up on the board.
I will. You know what, Joe? Tell me what to do again. I like
Get that topic on the board, Ryan.
Oh, thank you, man. I will.
Ryan,
Here you go, guys. I'm gonna get
your
this
release in order so I can submit it.
Okay. Wow. I feel like I'm being pressured. So
yes, you are being pressured.
Awesome.
I'm pressuring you.
All right, I got the topic on the board, guys. You can read along if you so desire. This is from Anonymous. It has been titled "Rising Above Frustration." It reads as follows. First, I want to say that you guys are awesome. Thank you. There are times.
Thank you.
There are times when I might have some challenging things happen. Then that is followed by a number of frustrating or negative things at work or otherwise that really make it hard to stay motivated and rise above it. What do you suggest to be able to put these things behind you and get motivated or have a positive attitude? Interesting. So yeah, so you're struggling, you're overcoming things, but that doesn't mean doesn't mean it's easy to rise above everything else going on in life. And it can be frustrating. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that alone is frustrating on top of the frustrating or negative events that are happening at work or other areas of your life. So, it's always hard when challenging times strike and then more challenging times just come up on top of it, right? I noticed a lot, especially in my youth, I noticed this in people. When things are tough, well, of course, there's that phrase, I forget exactly how it goes, but it's like, when things go wrong, just everything more goes wrong, a bunch, everything just comes on top of it. But I noticed that people, a lot of times, their attitude, when one thing goes wrong, their attitude starts to shift, and it messes everything else up, too. Whether or not that their attitude messed those things up is not known, but there are definitely times where that's true. And when things are frustrating, and you're already at that tip of your iceberg, this is frustrating, and then more happens, it's hard not to give in to that and just have a bad attitude. It can be hard. And so on top of that, how do you stay motivated and rise above that? I think that's definitely a skill that can be trained. And that's really nice to hear, because knowing that it's a skill that can be trained means you can do that. You can work on it and you can get better at it. And it's not just I guess this is a me thing. It's an everybody thing. It's an everybody thing.
Sounds like a you thing.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Well, I guess it's just me, guys. Have fun. I'm gonna give it over to Joe. See what he's got to say about this. About this me thing. Because apparently he's never had to deal with this. So good luck, Joe.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never had to deal with this.
Oh, that's
You've
good.
experienced me never dealing with
Yeah,
this,
I've
haven't you,
experienced you
Ryan?
so many times and never dealing with this.
Never dealing with being
Hmm.
frustrated
That's right.
or unmotivated or you know, in the midst of a bunch of challenges and in the midst of, you know, a storm of crazy.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it gets nuts. So, yeah, you're right. You know, there are times when challenging things happen. And then a whole bunch of stuff piles on and it gets even more fun. And then you're like, what the heck, man? What am I doing? And you know what? I'm always positive. Most of the time, I'm pretty positive that I'm negative.
It's weird because that phrase doesn't work the other way around.
It doesn't.
You
Nope.
can't say I'm negative about like you're negative about something, but like I'm you can say I'm positive this light will turn on. You can't say I'm negative this light will turn on. It's weird.
Yeah.
English is a weird
I'm pretty
language.
positive. A lot of times I'm pretty positive that I'm negative because, you know, you get hit with stuff and you deal with stuff and you get a chip on your shoulder sometimes, or it's a self-defense mechanism because, you know, you've dealt with a certain type of person or a certain type of situation for so long that now you're guarded and you have to think of all these nuances and you have to navigate each situation in a way that's like so convoluted. And if you tell Ryan's brother Kyle about it, he totally doesn't get it.
Hey, he'll he'll learn. He'll get it. He'll get it once he gets all the facts.
I look like an egg?
What?
Nice.
That's delicious.
Win says Joe still looks like an egg. I look like an egg.
Ain't not much more sexy than an egg. You ever seen an egg before?
Yeah.
You know where that comes from? It comes from a
Where's that come
chicken's
from?
butt.
Mm.
Mmm.
Mm. Anyway, all right. So how do you get through this? Now, sometimes there will come times in your life that you'll deal with this. I'm sorry. Our lives are somewhat cyclical, and we you know, we go through stuff and we learn stuff about ourselves. Sometimes we have to have a desert experience that lasts a long time. What's a desert experience? That's like when it seems like nothing can go right, everything hurts, everything's going wrong. There's nothing that seems to be going your way. The world and the whole universe seems to be conspiring against you, that no matter what you try, you'll never, ever, ever get ahead. You'll never, ever, ever get past this thing. You know, sometimes we feel like that, and we go through times when we're just, it's hard and we feel like we can't do anything right. It's interesting though, because you get through this, it how do you get to the other side? I don't necessarily know. A lot of times what happens is you're in it and you're trying so hard for so long, and then all of a sudden things click into place a little bit, and then you're just like, oh, cool. Now I can move forward. And I don't have to care that all these things are conspiring against me. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and bust this out because I don't care. I don't care anymore. I don't care that it hurts anymore. I don't care that, you know, all these things are conspiring against me. The world is going to be what it is. I'm going to do what I feel I'm supposed to do. And I don't care. You can't, like, this is, I'm sorry. This is probably, I'm getting too personal. I apologize. But this is kind of where I had to get to. Like, I went through a really long desert experience. You know, it was insane. You know, I went through a marriage. The whole stinking marriage was basically a desert experience. There were some good things that happened, but most of the time it was just really frustrating. And then if I thought the marriage was bad, then I got divorced. And then you take all that and you concentrate it and jam it down your throat. And you're like, ugh. And it gets frustrating. But sometimes it's weird. Like you go through enough frustration, you go through enough of that trying and hitting a brick wall, and maybe you try and learn some stuff, and you try and figure out a way around this, and you try and figure out how is this gonna work? Or and I can tell you how I got there. I started journaling. And through journaling about this stuff is how I eventually stumbled upon answers that helped me move forward. That's what worked for me. Some people journaling it works for. Some people need to read lots of books. Some people need to try and fail and get up again and try and fail and get up again and then maybe rest for a little bit. It's okay to take a break once in a while. It's okay to stop and reassess. Sometimes you need to talk to a friend to kind of make sure that, you still feel like you might be valuable to the world. But I don't know, it's crazy. And now I feel like now I'm in my last cycle of my earthly existence. Because now that I've figured the stuff out about anger, it's like I'm just going to push because I don't care. I don't care the result. I just know that it's time to push. And I'm going to push as hard as I can. And I don't care. I don't care the result. I don't care who sues me. I don't care who decides they get a B up their butt, because, I said something or did something that offended them, whatever. I don't care. And when you can start letting go of a lot of your self-consciousness, once you can set that aside, it's a lot easier to just go and move forward. You say you find it really hard to stay motivated and rise above it. This is exactly what I'm talking about, because I know how it feels to be so frustrated and so dejected because of all the stuff going on that you don't even want to get out of bed. Or you do get out of bed and you go and try and work, and then you're like, I just want to go back to bed. Or I want to cry. Or whatever it is. But eventually, I don't know. For me, personally, I journaled, like I said, and I had a therapist. Now, Ryan and I, like we said at the beginning, we are not therapists. We're not a substitution for therapy. So, Anonymous, if you aren't seeing a therapist about this, I would encourage you to consider it, whether it's a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, somebody that you can talk to about this mental blockage that you have going on, because they understand how the mind works in a way where they've studied it, and they can point to you different things that can try and help you fix it. Okay? All I'm relating to you is what I did, what helped me. And my journaling got very specific because my therapist told me, okay, I need you to journal about anger and trust. And the interesting thing was, I had known what I know about anger, what I explained in the previous topic about how anger is just energy that you can use however you want, right? I knew that about anger, but I didn't actually put things into place until I had journaled about trust enough and figured out that I have, trusted people to know what they're talking about when they don't. And then I learned, oh, so I can stop trusting them to know what they talk about, and I can embrace, this sensation, right? But I would never have gotten there without my therapist, and I would never have gotten there without journaling. And also, I would never have gotten there without the handful of friends that I have that I've confided in, that I've talked to, that have helped pull me out of, slumps, that have helped, just been there to listen to me. All these things were necessary and part of this journey. So, what do we suggest to be able to put these things behind you, get motivated, or have a positive attitude? So getting motivated, I talked a little bit about that in the previous topic. I make myself angry and I direct the anger at the thing I need to do. That motivates me. Ryan talked about other people having competitions. You can have competitions with yourself, or you can find another person to have a competition with. That might motivate you. You can think about your goals. That might motivate you. You can think about I was going to say dreams, but that kind of goes right along with goals and dreams. You can think about that stuff and it can possibly help motivate you and keep you positive. And having a positive attitude doesn't mean you're all smiley and grand all the time. That's not necessarily a positive attitude. Sometimes that's just fake. Quite frankly.
Fair enough.
I would consider a positive attitude an attitude that moves forward, an attitude that looks forward and says, hey, I'm going to move forward. Right? A lot of things, when we think about the things that frustrate us, we're thinking of the past. Because it's something that happened in the past. It might have happened 10 seconds ago, but it was still the past. Right? So sometimes shifting our focus to the future, okay, I'm going to be done with this incident 10 minutes from now. Or I'm going to be done with this situation a month from now. Or this is going to come and go, and it's going to be I can look to that point and it can help me continue to move forward, which, in my mind is the best type of positive attitude. It's the most realistic positive attitude you can have is one that looks forward and one that, sets you in motion. Because sometimes you're not just going to be all happy, joy. That's not how life is all the time. That's okay. It's totally okay. It's normal. But I would try some of those things. I would definitely refer you and tell you it would be a great idea to find a counselor, a psychologist, or a psychiatrist. However you can work that out. Somebody to talk to that's a professional that can guide you along this path. If it's really that frustrating of a block, I would encourage some kind of a counselor to talk to and help work through some of this stuff. Other than that, you can try the things that we talked about. Journaling, you can try reading books, you can try making it a competition. You can try thinking about your dreams and goals. You can think about the things that make you angry and direct the energy. There's many different options for you to try. And who you are and the type of makeup that you have as a person is probably going to be the biggest determining factor on which one of those things is going to be effective. But a lot of times we don't know what our makeup is and what we respond to until we try a few of these things and then we hit on one that works. And it's like, okay, cool. Now I can move forward. So anyway, that's pretty much what I have. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and hear what he has to say. Sorry for being mean. Hope Ryan's going to love you and he's going to make it all better.
So you weren't mean. You weren't mean at all. I'll do my best to love you and make it better though. I can't guarantee that I'll make it better though, because I think Joe, you did a really good job. That was important. Um,
Mm.
and you said a lot of really good things. And mean isn't necessarily what you were. I don't think you were mean to anybody, so you're good.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I think I mean I've said this before on on this um on this show before, quite a few times. When it comes to attitude, you get a choice to make, right? When it comes to attitude, again, that's a matter of self mastery, a matter of self control. It is. Um, here's, and I like what Joe said about positive attitude. Positive attitude is something that's looking for positive. Positive doesn't necessarily mean cheery or cheerful. Those are two
Mm-hmm.
different words. Cheerful attitude is probably what a lot of people mean when they say positive attitude, but a cheerful attitude could be cheerful about something negative. A cheerful attitude could be really happy and excited, but they're talking about doing something criminal, right? Something very
Mm-hmm.
destructive or evil, you know? Someone would be like, well, let's go kill the babies, guys. This is gonna be so awesome, right? Like, you can be cheerful about bad things. So I think that what Joe said is important. A positive attitude. I think that's if you want to truly search, if you want to truly have that, it's an attitude that's positive oriented, or oriented towards a positive future. Um, and I think that that's a good goal to have, right? Because if you don't have that, it's hard to. I mean, you got a lot of questions to answer. And then you got a lot of questions to answer if you don't have that, right? Like, why? Why? Where are you going then? Where do you think you'll end up? You know, there's a lot of good questions to ask if you can't have a positive attitude. So, and I get that we're touching on this in what seems to be more of a a rather negative, um, sort of route or point of view, but it's a very positive point of view. It just comes off as a little, a little less, what's that word? Preachy in a happy-go-lucky kind of way. Because if you really want to solve something, you got to admit that there's something to solve, and that thing to
Mm-hmm.
solve isn't to be made light of. It's something to contest with. And to
Mm.
contest with something means you have to have the attitude to fight it. You have to have the correct response to recognize, hey, this is my enemy. Let's wrestle with it. You don't wrestle as a happy giddy person. I mean, sure you can try, but when you're really taking something on and it's serious, and I think this is a serious enough topic, right? When you're really taking something on and it's serious, then you got to be serious about it. And so you can still be positive, but look at things in a serious way, right? And I think that's important to talk about, or at least to cover, like we'd have. And Joe pointed out. um, Here's what I think helps me the most when it comes to attitude. I'm going to tell you two things. And I have to warn you, both of them happen to be at least somewhat religious. Um, One thing I find that helps me a lot is I rely on the Holy Spirit. And I know that that might not jive with you or with everybody here, but personally, I like to pray a little bit. When I recognize that my attitude isn't on point, I recognize that my attitude might hinder others, right? Might be a hindrance. And I think that's an important thing. You have to recognize your social presence affects how other people are experiencing the moment and how they react and what they're going to do in that moment, right? And so to be cheerful, to be honestly cheerful or happy, generally has a more positive effect on people, right? But being serious can also have a positive effect, but having a bad attitude generally has a negative effect, right? We know that. I'm very susceptible to these types of things. I've been in, a room where one person is clearly having a bad day, and you can see it echo throughout the room in the attitudes of everybody around. You can see that
Mm-hmm.
that one person with a bad attitude is making everybody else just kind of like quiet or unjoyful. Like there's no joy in the room. And joy is a topic of its own, that's worth covering. But honestly, a bad attitude can wreck stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could have a good project
Sure.
and it's going well. One person is on the project, something messes up, they get a bad attitude. That echoes out into the people around them. Everybody else works less effectively. Everyone else is less joyful. Everybody else looks at the project and, some of them might feel like it's contagious. Like that bad attitude just rubs off on the next person. The next person has a bad attitude. And soon enough, you've got everybody in there going, I don't want to do this. Let's not do this. Now let's call it a day. And you're like, that sucks. Their attitude just ruined everything, And so having a good attitude is good and it's important. And so what I do is whenever I recognize that I have a bad attitude, I pray. I pray about it. Because it's that important to me.
Ryan, you pray more than that because you never have a bad attitude. If you went by that rationale, then you would never pray.
That's true. Well, I catch
because
myself.
You never have a bad attitude.
Yeah, well, I catch myself early. I have a knack for catching myself when I have a bad attitude, and I like to step back when I do. I take a moment and I consider my attitude and I say, Ryan, you know better than that. I usually say, pray. What I usually do is I pray and I say, Holy Spirit, come, help me with my attitude. Amen. Quick and easy, fast, done. And then I go out back into the world, right? I exit my headspace. I go back out into the world and I act like I have a good attitude. And what happens when I act like I have a good attitude? My emotions respond to my physical actions and they reciprocate and that echoes back into myself, right? We're just talking about how people's attitudes echo. How you perceive yourself will echo within you. How you perceive yourself will be how you feel inside. I've said this many times. How you look at the world is how you will feel living inside of it. If you think the world is a bunch of crap and it's crappy, you're going to feel like crap. Just the truth. It's just the solid truth. If you look out into the world and you say, oh, the world is crappy, then you're going to feel like crap living in it. That's the world you live in. And so if you can take a moment in your headspace and look at the world in that headspace, tell yourself, and then show yourself. So tell yourself that the world isn't crap, because that's going to help you have a positive attitude about the world and have a positive attitude in here. It will echo out into yourself if you act it out afterwards. So you sort of pull yourself inwards. You might have to leave the room to do that. It depends on your personality, I think. Different people have different strengths. I know that I can enter my headspace no matter where I'm at, but I know a lot of people who cannot. They have to, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Right? They might have to say,
I thought you were being serious when you said, I was like,
no. They might say, I'm just giving you examples of what you can say. You can say, like, hey, I'll be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom. Or, hey, this environment's getting a little heated. Let's just take 2 minutes to ourselves and come back at this. It's okay to do that. It's okay to take that authority. Because if you don't take that authority, you're gonna lose yourself. And you're gonna lose everybody else in the room with you. Right? It's okay to take authority of your attitude and just say, hey, let's give it 2 minutes. I got to think about this. Right? There are going to be times in life where you get caught up in a situation, and it's just you're going to have to have time to digest everything. It's okay to take the authority over yourself and say, hey, I'll be right back. I just got to clear my space, clear my head out. Come back into it with a good attitude. And how do you do that? Again, you think about the world and you think about yourself. And if you're not a praying person, then you don't have to pray. But I know that helps me a ton. Because what happens when I pray? I recognize what is true versus what is untrue. What is real versus what is imagination. And that's important. Because what we perceive in the world, just because we perceive it, doesn't mean it's true. Right? I mean, we all can attest to this. We've all been told lies before and then thought they were true. We've all been told lies. People didn't recognize they were telling lies. They didn't even know. They just were telling us information that was wrong. But we believed it, right? And so there are times where you have to take a step away and recognize reality for what reality is. And it's generally neutral. But you can take that and your perspective of it will be what you feel inside is real. So you need to examine reality and paint it positively. Okay? So when you go and retract into yourself, you examine the issues that you're going through, right? And they're going to seem negative. You need to go into your mind and think about those negative things. And then you need to paint them positive so that your perception will guide your action, so that your action will echo back into your attitude. And when you paint those negatives positive, it allows you to reap from them goodness. We've all heard the phrase, everything happens for a reason. And by that we mean all these bad things happen to us to make us better, right? We've also all heard the phrase, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, right? It's kind of the same phrase. And when you recognize what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, when you go at life with that attitude, all of a sudden your negatives can be painted positive. And you might not know what the positive is yet. You might be put on a cliffhanger. You might not necessarily be able to paint them positive because you don't have a logical reason to yet. But you can at least, the very least, say what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. You can at the very least say, based on the record of humanity and what we've learned over the course of the last 10,000 years or more, everyone's saying, anyone who's ever been wise or considered been wise has been saying, like, all these bad things, they turn into good if we choose to pursue that. If we decide internally that we want these bad things to just stay bad, then by all means they will, because you will not make them into a positive. But if you do decide that you're going to make your negatives into positives, if you decide that you're going to work on these things and make yourself a better person or whatever it is, reap some goodness out of these tragedies, if you decide that, then your journey will begin to be doing that and be moving forward on that front, and you will find that positives come out of it and that they're worthwhile. Joe's talked about going through your desert, right? And part of that dry experience is that internal dialogue. Joe's talking about journaling, right? That journaling is that internal dialogue that's happening, right? And we need to have that internal dialogue with ourselves in order to reshape the way we see the world, in order to reshape our attitude, especially when things are frustrating and we can't control them. Because in this world, you won't be able to control much. That's just the truth. In fact, you can't even control yourself most of the time. You just respond to yourself and you react to yourself and you learn about yourself and you're like, oh, that's who I am. I didn't know that.
It's true.
Right. And so when you go out and you're experiencing these frustrating times, and one thing happens after another, and you feel your attitude start shaking, it's okay to take the authority to go into your headspace or make time or remove yourself from that scenario to go into yourself and make something good of that. It might be that you have to journal. It might be that you have to run the block. And by that, I mean like literally go outside and run a block. Because exercise is a good way to get into your headspace. You're doing repetitive actions of just running. And you're just like, okay, I'm running around the block. And it's not that exciting, but for some reason, the chemicals move around and you just start thinking clearly and things, and it works. It works. So that internal dialogue is really important. And if you are not the kind of person that ever has internal dialogue, you need a desert. If you're not the kind of person that can handle internal dialogue, you need to encounter it. Because otherwise, you might never gain the talent of deciding you want your life to be positive, of deciding you're going to be positive in a moment filled with negative surroundings, of deciding your attitude. I have a thing, and quite a few people know this. Whenever I'm asked, how are you? Whenever people ask me like, hey, how are you? I have this internal dialogue with myself, and it's very short, and it goes like this. Hey, Ryan, how are you? How's your attitude? You decide right now. And then you live that out. And that's it. When someone asks me how I am, my brain immediately just says, how's your attitude today, Ryan? Is it on point, or are you letting it go lax? If it's on point, awesome. If it's not, then address it. That's important. I have a relationship with myself. Everyone does. How you see yourself is part of your relationship, right? If you look at yourself and go, oh, that's a fool, or he's not very smart, or whatever, you say these things about yourself, that's your relationship with yourself. And it's rough. It's got to be healthy. You want your relationships to be healthy, and it's not easy. It's not easy. I'm not saying like, oh, fix it. Well, I am saying fix it, but I know that it's not easy to just be like, okay, it's fixed now. It takes time, but it's time over communication with yourself. How you're communicating with yourself is important. And so whenever my attitude is bad, a lot of times what it means is a lot of times when my attitude is bad, it means my relationship with myself is failing. Okay? Like, a lot of times for me, I don't know if that applies for everybody, but a lot of times for me, if my attitude is bad, it means my relationship with myself is failing. It is not doing well. So I need to go and retreat. I need to walk the desert and learn from myself and talk to myself as if I'm an honest individual with honest opinions and learn from that person and talk well of that person and help that person and give positive direction to that person, because my conscious mind can do that. My conscious mind can give direction to my subconscious mind. It can paint the picture. It can look at the world and decide how it wants to see it. Or I could let it happen the other way around, and I'm only influenced by my surroundings. And that might not be helpful, because that's just being controlled by other people, right? And that's not good. So, anyways, my point in all of this is, basically all I've said, is you gotta have that inner dialogue. That's who you are. And you can go through any scenario with a calm, collective, happy attitude. You can go through almost, maybe not happy, but you can go through any scenario with a positive attitude, at the very least. And it helps if you look at the big picture of life. helps if you recognize that there's more to you than just this instance, or there's more to the world than just this instance, and that there's more to the world than we'll ever know. There's more good that we can do than we'll ever understand, right? There's also more negative that we can do than we'll ever understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reality. So make it good. And in order to do that, you have to choose. If you don't choose, who knows what you're going to do? But if you do choose, if you choose you want to be a positive influence on the world and those people around you, that's an important choice to make. And that will lead you on the adventure of your life, right? That's going to be good. So you need to paint that picture for yourself. You need to take time to do that. In those moments where everything seems to be falling apart. And I know that's hard, but it's necessary. The hardest things in life are usually the most good, the most necessary. So that's where we are. So anyways, that's what I got. Joe, do you want to add anything to that?
Good question. I don't think I have much to add.
Okay.
Except for Ryan. There was one thing. Random asked, how do you catch yourself when you're having a bad attitude? Like tips on how do you catch that?
That's a trained habitual response for me. I don't know how you train yourself, but for me, that's a trained response. Joe, do you have any experience with this?
Catching a bad attitude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you're way down the path of it before you realize it.
I've definitely been there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you
But
do,
one of the things,
you have to have humility and just say, no, this stops here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go back and try to justify what you just did.
Right. I would say probably random. One of the best things you can do is just try and think about self-awareness from time to time. Just, being self-aware as in, okay, I'm feeling this way. Why? How am I, how is this helping me? How is this hurting me? Da, 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 da. Like these are questions that if you get in the habit of asking them of yourself, it's easier to catch yourself when you're in a funk or when you're having a bad attitude, just because you've made a habit of being self-aware. And that's probably the best advice I can give you, the best tip I can give you on how to catch a bad attitude. And I don't always do it. I do self-awareness checks throughout the day. And like this morning, I got up and I was like, having a morning. I didn't sleep a whole lot, I haven't slept a lot lately, actually. But anyway, doesn't matter. You're like, what's different about that? You never sleep anyway. What the heck? Like,
Yeah. Same old Joe.
Right, exactly. But I wasn't, I was just kind of like existing. And I was kind of like, okay, I get up and I'll read and I'll do my, because I always read in the morning and journal in the morning. And then, and then I have some coffee while I'm reading and journaling. And then, I do some stuff and I kind of started getting toward my day and I'm just like, da, 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 da. And I'm like, what the heck, man? And I'm like, oh, I'm not angry. What's wrong with me? Yeah. And so I had to think about something that made me angry, and then I got all charged up and I was able to get going, right? And so, but it took the question of, okay, how am I feeling? How am I doing? What's going on here? And then how do I catch myself and how can I fix it? Ryan talked about prayer. He has a tremendous prayer life. I also have a prayer life. It's many times arguing these days. Yeah, I still haven't outgrown that, Ryan.
That's fine. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
that turnaround might come around someday.
Yeah, as Ryan talked about, Holy Spirit help me. I a lot of times like, Holy Spirit, what the heck, man? Like, seriously? Seriously, really? What the what the heck? And sometimes I use a different word than heck. Kind of rhymes with heck.
Ah, what the Beck?
Quebec.
Quebec.
What's a Quebec?
John Trebek.
John Debrec.
Trebek.
Oh my gosh.
John Trebek.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so it can be useful either way. And like, but I would say if you can just get in the habit of asking yourself, okay, just do a check now and again throughout your day. How am I feeling? What am I doing? What am I all about right now? What's going on? And just kind of take a check of yourself. So then you can develop some self-awareness. And then as you get into the habit of doing that, and it'll take time to develop that habit, you will start to be able to catch the bad attitude even faster and faster, and like, oh, okay, well, I'm having a bad attitude. Well, why? Well, because this person did this and blah, 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 blah. Is there anything I can do about that? No. Okay. Well, what am I going to do then now? Well, okay. Since I can't do anything about that, I'll just go do something else. And I'll think about something else and I'll put my mind elsewhere and, and who knows? I mean, you can drive yourself that way, but it's all in that learning of self-mastery that we were talking about earlier. So
yeah,
I don't know. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can really add to that is, hold on. Yeah, cool. The only thing I really add to that is when you don't like the sound or the words that just came out of your mouth, that's a good indicator. When you say something and you're like, oh, that was not very nice, or that sounded mean, or that sounded harsh, that's time for an attitude check. And the more you do it, the faster you're going to get at it. Eventually you can, no one's perfect, but eventually you mess up and you just go, wow, that was unjustified, right? That I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, right? You just recognize it right away. You cool down and you apologize and you move on, and you just let go. When you have a bad attitude, I think that's important not to try to justify it. I think that's going to help you. If you justify your bad attitude, or bad attitude meaning like unhelpful attitude, not just like general, like Joe's talking about like being angry or whatever, that could be useful, right? But if you have like a genuinely a destructive or hateful or whatever attitude, trying to justify it is only going to increase your bad attitude. You have to be able to let pride down, pick up humility, and just say, hey, that was what I just did was unacceptable. And I'm not going to sit here and try to justify it, because if I do, I'm just going to get a worse habit, right? So I would say that's important. That's a huge step to take. And then the last thing is like, a lot of what Joe said, being self-aware. For me, I learned this because I started to ask myself I notice how I feel, and I ask myself, as soon as I notice how I feel, as soon as I am aware of feeling self, right? As soon as I'm aware of experiencing a heightened emotion, my brain goes, hey, tell me about this emotion. Is this good or bad? Is this good or bad? Right? I start to be judgmental of my emotions, because my emotions aren't there to control me. They're there to let me know about myself, something. And they're there to let me know something about my surroundings and how I'm experiencing them. But they aren't there to control me. They're there to give understanding of self, understanding of my surroundings, right? And so as soon as am experiencing a heightened emotion that feels generally negative, I ask myself, is this emotion good? And what can I do with it? That helps maintain attitude. Because the more that I do that, the more I have a habit of doing that. And the more I have a habit of doing that, the quicker I can be on the up and up and control my attitude. Right? My attitude towards life. My attitude towards this or that thing. Someone might be talking about cars. It's hard to maybe have a good attitude about cars for me because I don't care about them. But if I recognize that about myself, what's that mean? That means, oh, I have the ability to have a good attitude right now, rather than just pointing out that I don't like cars or being aggravated that people just are going on and on and on about cars. Right? I could have that attitude of like, oh, there's going on and on and on and on about cars. I don't care about cars. It's so annoying. Or I can fix myself at that moment as soon as I start to recognize and be like, that's not an appropriate attitude towards cars. Cars are actually amazing, Ryan. Let them talk. Enjoy them. Enjoy their passion. Show that you can be passionate about their subject too. It'll increase your friendship. Right? All of these things are way better positives and help us with our attitude and have a better life than having a bad attitude about cars or having a bad attitude about Spider-Man or having a bad attitude about whatever it is. I have to go outside and exercise. You don't have to have a bad attitude about that. You don't have to have a bad attitude about the world you live in. You can, as soon as you experience that negative, I don't like it, that's the moment that you train yourself for. And you recognize in that moment, you're like, well, I've chosen that I don't like this. At some point in my life, I've chosen that I don't like cars. At some point in my life, I've chosen that I don't like exercise for whatever reason. That's not a helpful attitude. It's not a helpful perception. And so I readjust my perception to the best that I can. And that helps me a lot. So, yeah, it's just a trained habit. The more you do it, the more habitual it will come to you, and the faster you're going to get at resolving it, and so on. And it's self-training, and it takes time. Don't expect it. It's just like muscles, don't expect your muscles to get back amazing because you exercised once, This is mental self-training. Don't expect your attitude towards everything to be perfect because you talked to yourself once, So it's about establishing good habits and good behaviors within yourself, and that's not a one-day process. But anyhow, yeah, that's what I got. Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, thanks for the topic, Anonymous.
Thank you.
We genuinely
hopefully we did it justice for you.
Yeah, I really hope so. I recognize that we went off into a lot of different areas about it, and hopefully we answered the points that you wanted us to, and didn't get too far off the path and didn't answer anything. But I hope we did it justice, and I hope that it was helpful and something that you, I hope it's something that had a positive effect on you, to continue with that. But yeah, another topic. It is currently 9:51 p.m. our time. I guess it's 9 minutes until closing time. Closing time. All the copyrights.
We close this stream whenever the heck we want to,
we can close
Ryan.
the stream whenever we want. That's right. So, did you want to do another topic?
I'm fine doing another topic.
Okay, let's do another topic.
Let's do another topic. Hatsu, are you wanting your topic done?
Yeah.
You've been very active in the chat.
Yes, you have.
You
have.
And it sounds like from reading your topic, it may be fairly urgent.
Urgent.
Even though it wasn't marked as urgent.
Where is?
Yes, Marhandi asked about the old topic. We will have to go back and look at the old bss.studio website forum stuff and dig that out probably.
Yeah, I think so.
That's not something I'm prepared to do right now.
Yeah. When was the topic? Must have been a really long time ago.
Marhandi. Yeah, so Marhandi, if you're still here, Princess just asked what was the topic. Princess has access to all that, and knows where to
Princess,
find it
hi.
and stuff. Yes. Princess, you're amazing.
Princess, you're amazing. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you. You're amazing.
But yeah, so yeah, we can do another topic.
All right. Hatsu, which one? We've got two here. We've got two here now. Thank you, Princess. You're amazing. I've got one that's called Why Join DWW, and the other one is Crush on an Ex. Which one of those titles sounds like the one you would like us to cover?
Wait, there's an unprocessed one?
Uh-oh.
I only have
I have
one
no
from
idea what's going
Hatsu.
on. Oh. Okay, which one do you have? Do you have
Crush
the
on an
Crush
Ex.
on X? All right. Well, Hatsu, you've got 17 seconds or less to respond, or we're just gonna do the Crush on the X one. All right, it's been less
Princess,
than
no,
17 seconds.
I
Crush. Okay, we're gonna do it.
refresh. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Let me just set this
Princess.
up real
You're
quick.
amazing. Princess, you are working and surprising us with these gifts of processing these. This is amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. You are tremendous.
Yeah, you absolutely are. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the topic screen on. You guys can feel free to read along whenever you'd like. I guess, yeah, you can literally whenever you like from this moment forward, because you can always go back in the stream or watch the video. Anyhow, it was a wrong phrase. Anyways, we're gonna just go with it. The title for this is Crush on an Ex. It's by Hatsu, and it reads as follows. What do I do if I have a crush on my ex who now is dating someone else? We have never had any hard feelings and always have stayed close friends. Is it bad that I still have a crush on them? From Hatsu. Good questions. Good questions. Thank you for asking them. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being open and open with us and giving us the topic, and also yeah, you're not alone in this. I think this is a thing that a lot of people have experienced. Probably almost everybody has experienced this to some degree, maybe slightly different events, but at least something very similar. So, yeah, great topic. Thank you so much. I'm gonna give it over to Joe just right now, because I trust him. Look at that. He smile. See?
You trust me?
I trust you.
You trust me with a topic about a crush?
I trust you with a topic
I have
about
my fidget item. I have a clothespin now because I'm fidgeting.
Oh, because you're angry.
Yeah.
Watch him.
It's okay. Tremendous. All right. Okay. What do I do if I have a crush on my ex who's now dating someone else?
Run.
Stop it. Sorry. No, it's not. Hey. Romance, right? Anyone who saw me in the Static P server yesterday, because it was Valentine's.
Oh no, Valentine's.
Yeah. Oh, you love my mug. I love this mug too. Princess made this.
Princess made that. That's why it looks so cool. I wish I had mine.
So,
but I
all right.
upstairs.
So Hatsu, Okay, so you have a crush on your ex, they're dating someone else. You know what? I've had lots and lots of crushes in my life of people that were dating someone else, people that were married to other people that were not even allowed. I had a crush on a nun once.
Noise. That's a. You know what? Of all people, hey, that's a
What?
good find.
Yeah, but like seriously,
I mean,
really?
you can never carry that
Really?
relationship
Okay,
out.
so cue up, like the what's that? Nacho Libre. Uh Did you ever see Nacho Libre?
Never seen it.
And he's
Sorry.
a monk and he's got he sees this nun and he writes this song about I'd be willing to break my vows if you'd be willing to break your vows with
Wow.
me. This stuff, right?
Wow.
It's just like, dude, seriously. Okay, so sometimes we get crushes and crushes are great. We feel all great. We feel all or we feel frustrated because they're dating someone else. Our hearts go where they will sometimes, and we don't always necessarily have control. We try and master that. We try and temper that. We try and you know, deal with it. At this point right now, I'm going to not say a whole lot about this topic, and I'm going to allow Ryan to talk more, but I'm going to tell you this. These days, when I find myself having a crush on someone, I like get really angry at myself because I'm just like, man, you know where that leads. It all leads in destruction, leads to destruction. Yeah, it ends in death and dismemberment and crazy.
Death and dismemberment. Oh no. Jeez. It does lead to death because everything, all
This
roads lead to
topic
death.
hits very close to Joe's home. It's um and I'm not saying that I don't develop crushes. I do, for sure, of course. Even at the age of 29, I still develop crushes.
So,
It's part of life. And we think, hey, this would be a great person to get to know better. This would be a great person to spend some time with. This would be a great person to, date. This would be a great person to get married to. This would be a great person to whatever, right? Like go to the movies, go to play some table tennis, something,
I
right?
like that.
Like,
Yeah, that's great.
Yansai, oh dear.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So there's one big difference between your situation and all of my dating experiences that I've ever had. You've never had any hard feelings and always have stayed close friends. Everybody I've dated ends up being like the bane of my existence.
Mm. Sounds rough.
And yeah, it ends up I've never had a breakup where it's been like, "Oh yeah, let's just be friends." No, it's never been that way. Breakups, and of course I've never really casually dated or dated somebody for a short period of time or whatever like that. It was those were serious relationships, right? Serious relationships where we talked about getting married, we talked about all that stuff, right? And um so like little, few week, hey, I like you, we can be boyfriend girlfriend for a couple weeks or whatever. I'm not even counting those, you know. But those have happened too, where you like someone for a little while and then it kind of goes away and whatever, right? Sometimes we develop a crush simply because they are not accessible. Does
That's
that
true.
make sense? So I'm wondering if your crush might be fueled a little bit by the fact that she's dating somebody else or they are dating someone else. It's possible. Sometimes that's where our hearts go, right? We crave the thing we can't have. I watched my kids. This starts at birth, right? I have no interest in that whatsoever until my brother wants it. Then it's the only thing that can satisfy me. Right? Like before then, it didn't matter at all. But then as soon as the brother had it, now I need it. And, I mean, this happens. And so it happens also, we might see someone and they're in a relationship or they're dating somebody else, or we used to date them and now they're dating someone else or whatever, right? But just the fact that they're with someone else and it makes them a little bit inaccessible, it makes them a little bit harder to get, it just adds to the allure of the whole thing. And I sit there and I want to just punch myself in the soul and tell myself to stop it. Because this isn't going anywhere good. Right? I've never said punch myself in the soul. That felt really weird.
Wow, it felt weird, but did you try to actually do it? Because that would probably feel weird too.
Wait, you didn't know Joe's Riz game was this strong? What's Riz?
I don't know that word either, so we'll have to we'll be learning together.
So yes, so for a forbidden fruit type of thing, absolutely, yeah.
Just dating life sounds like Elden Ring. That's funny. The hardest, like one of the hardest games.
But people say it's great. People talk about Elden Ring like it's great.
It is a great game.
So it's not anything like that because it wasn't great, man.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Oh, how I flirt or pick up girls, Riz. Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I don't really flirt or pick up girls, I don't think. I feel like I'm probably like the opposite.
I like you.
And
then you punch them? You're that kind of person?
No, I don't punch them. I punch me.
Oh, okay. I like them. Then
I like this person. I need to stop it.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that's right. So, death and dismemberment. You said relationships end up in death and dismemberment. That part sounds like Elden Ring. That would be nice. That's funny.
Yep. So anyway, yes, a forbidden fruit type of thing can absolutely enhance our crush. We can develop a crush on, an anime character. Or a video game character. What's that? Is that simping?
No.
Is that what that is?
No, simping is a different thing.
Or do people pick up and flirt with me? No, that has never happened.
You probably just didn't see it, Joe. I flirt with you like all the time.
What? You flirt with me all the time? I know, but that's different. That's,
I know you know that. I know it's
No. You know what? We're not going to go any further down the rabbit hole of Joe. I'm going to tell you, it's okay to have a crush, but just recognize it for what it is. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It's something that wells up in us, and we sometimes lose control of it. And it's there for a purpose, right? It brings people together. People have had successful marriages that started with crushes. For sure. Sometimes you develop a crush and it breaks your heart. This is all part of the drama of being human. Some people love it. Some people love the drama of the romantic, whatever. And I think it was Marhandi who sent me such a wonderful message on Valentine's Day about, like actual romance and love, and how it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be confined in like a person to person relationship. It can be like a romance of your quest for life, or
Oh,
your,
sure. Yeah.
all, and
Mm-hmm.
I love that because it's just something you can have passion for,
Yeah.
right? But a crush, it's like this uplifting little feeling thing. And you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens to me. I develop a crush. And if I don't stop it,
You get crushed.
it drops me flat on my face. And then I'm wallowing around for a long time and just dealing with it, right? And I'm sitting there all heartbroken and all butthurt about it.
Kurt Birkin.
Kurt Birkin,
Kurt
yes.
Birkin. Sorry, I couldn't stop myself.
So it kind of makes me mad. And I'm sorry. But here's the thing. I don't think it's bad for you to have a crush on your ex. I think it's natural. But I also think that it's something that you should keep an eye on in your life. Okay? It's possible that you might get back together with that ex. Even though they're dating someone else, that relationship might end. And you might end up back together. Who knows? The woman that I married and then divorced was engaged. Actually, no. When I first met her, she was dating someone else, got engaged to them, and their relationship ended. And not long after that, ours began. Mine and hers began. But that, I used to tell that story on Don't Worry Wednesday. Like, I married the person that was not accessible because she was in a relationship with this other person, and then engaged, almost getting married to this person. And then I still ended up with her. So you never know. I would refer you to Life Might Take Us. You never know where this life might take us. So you know what? When things change, you can get excited about it. You can. You can choose to be excited about the change. But here's the thing. If you find yourself obsessing about your ex, that's when a red flag might pop up.
Mm-hmm.
If I start to find myself obsessing about a person because I have a crush on them, then major red flags start to pop up in my brain. And I'm just like, whoa, 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 stop. Because even if I was to end up with this person, obsessing about them isn't going to help that situation. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for coming hard at you, but that's kind of, I don't know, man. Throw a romance topic on here. See what happens. Russian
See what
roulette,
happens. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because Ryan knows a lot more about healthy crushes and love and stuff.
Sure.
All that
Maybe.
great, amazing, wonderful dogness.
You said it right. Dogness. I love it. Love the dogness of a romance.
I almost said
doggoneness. You almost said doggoneness.
Doggone Twitter patedness.
Wow, dude. Language. You're using it well.
I'm using
yeah, you're using all different words. So here's what I'll say. I mean, obviously I can to some degree second Joe. Actually to a large degree. I want to tell you this. It's completely normal. I mean, think about this person, right? This is someone you already liked before. At one point or another. You might have stopped liking them, but clearly they have at least they have some of the attributes that you like. And so it just makes sense that you're going to have the chance to like them again, right? It's a very normal phenomena for people to get crushes on people. And I really like what Joe said about obsessing. When you obsess over someone, that's when you have the big red flag come up. Because obsessing someone is different than loving someone.
Yes, absolutely true.
In a huge way. And it's not intentional. And they might feel the same. But they are very different. And I like that you recognize that this is a crush. And that this person is an ex and they're already dating someone else. I like that you're asking this question. And I think you already know this answer. What you do is you recognize, first off, okay, that's a normal thing. I don't have control over what I feel. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes I do have control over what I feel, but in this case, clearly, I didn't pick this. I didn't pick to have a crush. I just do. Does that make you a bad person or a monster? No. It's just what happened to you. That's an experience. It doesn't define you. It doesn't decide for you who you are, or that you're a monster, or that and this isn't a choice you made. It just happened, right? So you recognize that, and then you get the opportunity to decide what you do with it, right? And that's what happens to most of us in a lot of cases with our emotions, right? You know, or our desires, even more so, right? Let's talk about desires. You might be one day wondering what it would be like just to, like, you see a pool, or like you see like a river, and you're jumping, or sorry, and you're on a bridge, you know, and you see that river and you go, ah, that'd be really cool to jump into this river, you know, from this bridge. And you think about it, and that's an experience. That's an experience of wanting something, having a desire. But you have a choice to make. And it's important to make that choice and to think about it hard. Because that river might be really shallow, and if you jump in from that height, you might just break your bones and drown because you can't get up. You're just like, boom. That was a bad idea. Right? So before you jump into the river, check its depths, right? And this goes on. This goes onwards. I've experienced many people who have talked about this one. This is crazy, right? It sounds like this person is an evil person. They're not an evil person. They just experienced a weird desire. Maybe they're like walking down a hall and they catch a glimpse of someone's butt. And for some reason, their brain and their eyes are drawn to that person's butt. And they stare at that person's butt and they're like, wow, that's a nice butt. Well, okay, you decide, you just recognize something, sure, but are you going to sit there and stare at it? Are you going to go up and tell that person they have a nice butt? You get that choice. You're like, Howard. or you can look away, right? Similarly, I've had people who say they wonder what it would feel like to stab someone. They've never stabbed anyone. They have no idea where this thought comes from. It feels like a very evil thought, and they're worried. Am I messed up? Am I broken inside? Well, you didn't have control over thinking that thought. That thought just came to you. Have you ever stabbed someone? No. Well, then you're fine. You've held off an experience, an emotion, or a desire, and you've decided for yourself what would be the right action in this. And you've picked wisely. You've picked the good. Bad or evil opportunities will always be presenting themselves to us. It's our job to choose the good ones. Right? And not that you're evil for having a crush on, absolutely not. You're definitely not evil for having a crush on someone, your ex, who is dating someone already. You're not evil for having a crush on a married woman or a married man or whatever.
Or a nun.
Or a nun. Right. That's just a feeling, an experience. But what you can do with that desire can be evil. But what you can do with that desire can also be good. And sometimes you gotta just let it go and walk away. And I think this is one of those cases, this person's already taken. It wouldn't be right for you to try to enter in and ruin their relationship, would it? That wouldn't be a good thing to do. It wouldn't be a good thing to do to enter into that relationship with a desire or with the plan of getting something for yourself at the cost of ruining it for someone else, right? So what do you do with this experience? You say, this is an experience and it just happened and I didn't choose it. So what I am going to choose is I'm going to choose to let go and move on. And I know that's hard. Just that's a hard thing to do sometimes. Sometimes it's really easy. But how you act, your brain will follow. So it might be you walking away from your friend for a little bit so you don't experience them that much, so that your brain can stop obsessing over them or thinking about them or whatever it is, right? The more you expose yourself to that person, the more your brain has to contemplate. The less you expose yourself to that person, the easier it is going to be to let go, because your brain doesn't have much to work with. If you give your brain more to work with, it's going to be harder to let go of a crush. So, in this case, if it were me, I'd say keep that at a distance. And obviously this person's a good friend, a close friend, and that's great. And I hope that stays that way. But recognize that a close friend, if you have to work out your feelings for a little bit, take a break from that person and come back, a close friend will be still a close friend when you get back. Those are my feelings on it. But just telling yourself that you can't have them, and you wouldn't want to be that kind of person who would ruin a relationship, because you would want your relationship to work out. You would never want someone else to come in and ruin your relationship with someone. It would suck, right? So if you just tell yourself
Depends on
that,
the situation.
it might help out. Well, okay. Is it ruining it if it's better? Does that answer? Does that?
Yeah, that's a good answer. Good answer.
Okay, yeah. There are times where you do need to interact or step in and just be like, guys, this is not good. But that's not. You don't go searching for that. That comes upon you and you recognize it when it's there. But you don't go like, hey, how can I ruin this relationship? How can I find those things that are bad so I can tell this person they're in a bad relationship? You don't go out doing that, right? So it's not the point. So anyways, that's my answer. Also, yeah, I hope that's helpful. You gave some responses here. And that's great. Yeah, curiosity can be horrible. I know, because of a recent experience that I chose the bad on. Yeah, yep. Sure can be. And I'm sorry that happened. Yeah, I will take a bit of a break. Yeah, awesome. Take a bit of a break from them. Also, Ryan, can you explain the difference between love and obsession? Oh yeah, for sure. There's a lot of differences, even though they might feel the same. You might even have an experience of emotional high, right? Keep in mind that love isn't an emotional high. It can be a result of love, but it isn't what love is. Obsession is when your mind is addicted to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Love, right? It's not when you're addicted to that person. It's when you care about that person and you desire the best for them, right? Obsessions are generally self-oriented, about one's self-emotions, about getting that high, about experiencing that person for oneself. Love, on the other hand, is more oriented about the gift. About, not the gift, but you giving yourself for that other person's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a self-gift for the other's benefit. And you can have both at the same time and confuse them. You can both be obsessed with someone and also genuinely love them. But you don't want the obsession to remain or take over a relationship. Because obsession is very selfish. And at times where it's most needed, you will fail to love. and you will obsess instead. And it will be very selfish, unfortunately, and it will ruin you. I think that there's definitely a lot that could be hashed out in specifics, but I'm going to leave it generically as that for now. Joe, did you want to touch on that?
About love and obsession?
Yeah. I mean, you're free to just not, but I'm giving you the opportunity.
I'm free to not.
Yeah.
Does that mean you don't want me to?
No, I would love if you did. That's what I gave you the opportunity. I'd be happy if you did.
I thought that was like code. It was like, Joe,
No.
do you want this? Do you want to talk about this? But then, okay, you don't want to. Okay, good.
Good. All right. All right. That was Don't Worry Wednesday, everybody. We hope you had a great time.
I do want to reiterate what Ryan said about love being a gift, a gift of self to another person. That when we love somebody, in this way, that, we are giving ourselves as a gift for their benefit, and it's a selfless, well, not selfless, but it's not self-seeking.
There you go. Yeah.
Most of the time when we have a crush, it's self-seeking.
Right. I really want that person. It's a good example. Mm-hmm. That's you wanting.
Yep. And it gets dicey when oh boy. All right. You can give yourself to a person and have it not work.
Sure. That happens a lot.
You can give yourself to a person and they can abuse that gift, abuse you. So it's definitely, this whole area is definitely one to approach with care and self-awareness and a bit of maturity and understanding a lot of the stuff that Ryan was talking about. So I would go back and listen to what Ryan said again. And I see, Hatsu, that you said, yeah, I'll take a bit of a break from them. That would probably be a good idea. And maybe, start hanging around other people that you might be attracted to. Because sometimes you can replace a crush with another crush.
That's true. You sure can.
Mm-hmm. You can replace a crush with another crush, and you can, and who knows where that leads? You can replace a crush with something you feel compelled to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the thing, I talked about anger being energy, raw energy, right? A crush also brings energy.
Mm-hmm.
Being afraid brings energy. Falling in love brings energy. All these things can bring us energy. And so really the question is, how am I going to use it? You have a crush, great. Can you take that energy and redirect it away from the person that you want and toward something you want to accomplish? I got into this conversation with my therapist, and this is portable with any of these types of feelings that give us this uptick in energy, whether it's anger, whether it's a crush, whether it's fear, whether it's, all these different things that kind of put us, they put us in this heightened sense of things, right? We get so focused on the object that is making us afraid or angry or we have a crush on or fall in love with or whatever. We get so focused on that thing that we kind of harness and we kind of trap our energy with that thing. Like we like focus on that thing. Like, okay, take for instance, if you watch a lot of the news and you just get all, upset about stuff going on in politics.
Raz jazz, all
that
about
you
politics.
Can do nothing about.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing. You can, well, okay, I take that back. You can do something. You can vote. If you're in America, and depends on what country you're in. I don't know what political stuff, but most of the time, the things we get upset about in politics, we have no control over. I'm never gonna have any control over the fact that Donald Trump cheated on his taxes or that Joe Biden isn't a good Catholic. Never. Never going to have anything to do with any of that. I have no impact in any of that. So why do I get mad about it? Well, okay, so the thing happens and it makes me mad. But if I keep my energy focused on that thing, it's a waste. But if I can look at that energy as just raw power and redirect it, it becomes something of value. I've had crushes when I was in high school, man. I had crushes on a bunch of different girls in high school. And you know what? I never dated any of them. Ever. They weren't interested in me. Or they had boyfriends or whatever. So I was doing this at a young age. I didn't even realize I was doing it, but I took that and I poured all that energy into percussion. And I would practice and I would play and I would practice and practice and practice and practice for hours and hours. And I would be in the band room until 11:30 at night working on a timpani solo or whatever, or I'd be in a practice room. Man, I didn't realize that I was doing it, but I was taking that energy and I was directing it towards something that I could actually do something about and help improve myself in, right? And now I'm kind of doing that same thing with anger, but you can do the same thing with fear or falling in love with somebody or whatever. You can take that energy and you can point it anywhere. It's a real shame when something affects us that way and we attach the feeling to that thing that we can't do anything about. That's a waste. So, I don't know why I said that. I feel like maybe, I don't know, somebody might not need to hear that. But anyway.
That's great.
I apologize. Back to Ryan.
Nah, cool. Great job. Yeah, hopefully we've covered that. I mean, love is an interesting thing. And it's not an easy thing. I mean, you try to have a relationship with yourself. We know how hard that is. Then you pull someone else into it. And man, it's a wild ride. I think that a lesson that I would say would be important is if you're gonna try to have a relationship with anybody, be good if you're on point with your own relationship with yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good starting point. That would be probably the best starting point for the best advice I could ever give anybody about romance. If you could start with yourself, that'd be a good place because that's who you're giving as a gift. And that's who you have to deal with when things go wrong. yourself. And if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, how do you expect the other person to? If you don't have yourself figured out very well, or else you're not willing to try to figure yourself out, right? What are you offering that other person when you're giving yourself to them? And is that a mess or a bad thing? Right? It's important. I would say yeah. That's probably the best advice I could ever give. Is if you're gonna go for romance, get yourself together.
Stop it.
Stop it before you do. No. I don't know how to figure myself out. I want to know, but I don't know how. That's a great topic. I would love if you put that as a topic, Hatsu.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go
ahead and put that as a topic. We could talk about that for like 6 shows.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So it's a good topic. But yeah, as for topics, I think that is our last topic for the day, and we are going to conclude the show. So thank you guys for sticking around late with us. Thanks for all the chatter in the chat. You guys are amazing. You guys are smart. You guys are delicious. And I didn't, well.
Delicious.
If you are what you eat, then that makes you delicious. Delicious. Yeah, delicious. Apparently. That's the term I used. I'm sticking with it. What's up, Joe? Good point. We've got releases and releases. Have you been to Spotify or iTunes or Amazon or whatever? Have you been to YouTube? There are releases everywhere. Black Setting and Swerve has been doing an awesome job under the guidance of Joe to put down and out a ton of songs from one group or another. We've got Jono, we've got Steve, Single Duel, and Static P, and Black Holes from Halos. All this stuff coming out. If you're not aware of it, now you are. Go look it up. Anyways, Joe, what was your announcement?
That was it. And I was just going to talk about the next 3 weeks. This Friday, we have Black Holes. Black Holes premiered last Friday on YouTube, and it will be available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, everywhere that you could possibly imagine streaming or downloading from. It will be available on Friday. So for all of you who've been waiting for that, here it comes. It's going to be great. Next Friday, on the 24th of February, we will have a debut of the Taylor Anderson project. And this would be a song that is actually 100% owned by Jono Taylor. Nice. He did all the work on composing this song, and I am so excited to start releasing his music into the world. And then Halos, who Ryan worked with on Black Holes. I'm excited to see what more stuff comes out between Ryan and between Static P and Halos. And then the following week, on the 3rd, a Single Duel has a new single coming out. So there are things happening. And we'll probably actually be, I think we might schedule another live stream coming up in the future just to talk about these releases that are coming out, and maybe have the people, have the artists who are working on them, interview them, and just, help you guys understand that, there's some great stuff coming out. At least the next 2 weeks, there's great stuff. Week 3, when a Single Duel stuff comes out, you could skip that one and everybody be just fine. But, yeah, don't skip this Friday or next Friday. It's going to be great. So we're moving the ball forward. BSS has, it's my mission, so it's BSS's mission.
That's right. It works that way. I'm okay with that.
2023, we are going to do our best to flood the world with noise.
That's great. Not noise that as in like noise like unimportant though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to flood the world with music.
There you go.
And we have the next 3 that I just told you about, the next 3 Fridays, but we actually have stuff lined up for about the next 9 weeks.
Nice.
Which is cool because then it gives us time to create stuff for the 9 weeks after that. But anyway, just wanted to let you guys know things are happening, stuff's coming out. We've got new artists being released, and it's fantastic. So, yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to mention that.
Nice. Thank you guys so much for being with us today on Don't Worry Wednesday. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you next time on the show that is called Don't Worry Wednesday. If you have any topics you want to submit and have us cover, or at least, just talk about, please go to don'tworrywednesday.com and share your topic with us. We'd be more than delighted. If you want to remain anonymous, just say so. Anyhow, thank you all, and we love you. Bye-bye.
Love you guys.
Peace. End.